Well, oh, no,
There
it's
it
on.
goes. Okay.
Yeah, no, yes,
Thank you. Okay. So this part I wanted to have in the recording. So we've recorded. We're going to have 4 sessions then up in our shared video recordings, and the series was for 5. So for those of you who paid for the whole series, just come to another class, or I can offer you other recordings. At this point, after 2 years of Corona, I have a vast library of unlisted videos on YouTube from the different series. So we'll sort that out. And some of you are just paying class by class, so then that's fine. But we'll keep this sort of together as a unit then. So we had sort of the first introduction of this concept of tapas, not the Spanish appetizers, but the Sanskrit. And we opened with this sort of exploration and awareness of sort of the front line, back line, the integrated, what the Germans call muscle chains, chain of muscles, and how they work together a little bit through the spirals. And then the second section was focused more on the sort of muscle groups that support the shoulder girdle, this really important part of our upper body. Last week, we focused more on this other central intersection point of the hips, pelvis, low back. And I bring those together through sort of awareness of the fundamentals. So the main flow and connection of movement through the body, and then the major points of intersection, which is shoulders and hips. Because really how those parts integrate is really a foundation of our functional movement. And today we're just going to keep simple, because as I was sort of going through 2021 and looking through some things today, and I came across my notes on my vision for 2020 that I wrote in December of 2019. And I saw something somewhere where a person said, this is a really historical time, a time where generations will be reading about it. And what have I been doing? Mostly laundry, like, the mundane things, because my vision, 75% of my vision for 2020, of course, fell apart very quickly, and some of it didn't. And so with this idea of presence and awareness, it's a little bit of living in that paradox of life, that in these past few years, we've perhaps become a little more aware of the reality that nothing is a given, which of course has always been true, but we live many times with the false belief that we can control this all. So this has been a reminder. There's a vulnerability around that awareness. And so with tapas, it's this recognition that even in times of plague and times of war, there's laundry to be done and things to be cleaned up and work to do, daily things. And in a way that can sometimes feel frustrated, feel very mundane. And at the same time, we can bring our spirit in and turn our attention to some of these simple things we do every day, the habits of life, and recognize the precious jewels that they are. The gift to be able to do laundry, to have to prepare meals every single day when you can't go out because restaurants are closed, but the gift that we have food to prepare, we have a house to clean. That there is this paradox we can live in, and through our practice, through this awakening of awareness that hopefully has sparked some inquiry this month, perhaps we'll find a newfound appreciation for the simplicity of the mundane and the potential for a personal transformation to support our heart to feel a little bit more content, even in the midst of great chaos that we are aware of in our personal lives, in our communities, in the greater world around us. And at the same time, laundry needs to get done. So, and showing up for yoga class or showing up for meditation as well. Offering yourself a pause in the time of all this is a choice to bring awareness into your life every day. And so, we have these longer hour and a half, hour long practices, but as Catherine knows and Angela know, the real yoga is just bringing some attention into our lives and recognizing this life journey as the spiritual journey. So in honor of those sort of ideas, I want to keep the asana practice, the movement, not even asana, the conscious movement, conscious breathing practice, simple. And I'll try to focus different parts of it, little vignettes through the practice, and sort of different areas of the body, different areas of attention. And this comes from a series, how I worked with my regular classes in 2019, which is sort of a vignette focusing, I call it Hello Back, the apana, apana. I won't go there. So hello back, hello feet and legs, hello upper back, neck and shoulders, and hello hips. So sort of self-contained little vignettes that can be, looked at separately or sort of integrated together. But as we begin, we're also just going to do a couple little details with the face. So the places we maybe don't bring too much attention to in the middle of our movement practices, but just touching upon some of these parts of the body that may get a bit neglected in some of the big fancy yoga practices. So as always, let's begin just by coming into an awareness of the body and of the breath. Feel the breath moving. Notice the world around you in the immediate vicinity. Notice the sensations of the room, the sounds, the smells. Always with the awareness that we are part of the environment around us. Begin to deepen the breath. And as always, it's an invitation with the breath. So not forcing depth, but with the curiosity, just notice as you look towards expanding the breath, how welcoming your system feels. Each breath just a little deeper, a little longer. So you find a comfortable maximum length and just stay there for a few breaths. Gentle ujjayi technique if that feels appropriate. Relaxing the muscles of the jaw and the face. Consciously relaxing muscles of the shoulders, the neck. So in the seated practices, using what muscles we need to remain seated, but allowing the other muscles to release or at least activate more efficiently. If you find unconscious gripping of the teeth, one thing you can try is curling the tongue up and pressing it against the palate of the mouth. Not to force the teeth apart, rather just to create a sense of spaciousness, awareness around the jaw. And then eventually we'll bring the palms of the hands together. Just keep breathing deeply. With the same kind of awareness, just notice the warmth and energy between the palms of the hands, the fingers. Shoulders as relaxed as possible. Chest lifted. Since many of our friends can't be with us live today, we'll invoke Sahana just to reach out wherever they are in the world and welcome them back to watch this with us later. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Punaktu, Sahaviryan Karavavahai, Tejasvina Vati Tamastu, Ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And then we'll do just a little bit of warmth and awareness with the face, the neck and shoulders. So just warm the hands up a bit, rubbing them together. And when you feel they're nice and warm, just take a moment and palm of the hands to the eyes. Continue breathing nice and deeply if you can. And then just gently, a little bit of rubbing, massaging on the forehead, sort of the area of the third eye and around, and just a little bit of massage on the cheeks, the jaw in particular. Then a little bit with the neck, the throat. Just notice the temperature. So some of us carry a lot of warmth in this part of our body, and some of us it's quite cold. And just coming back with the hands on the heart. And keeping the attention here up to the jaw again, just a few times opening, closing the mouth. So maybe if you can, open as wide as possible if that doesn't cause any discomfort. Notice the response of the jaw. So maybe this is something you don't do very often. Because I have these AirPods in, you might hear the crunching in my own jaw. Maybe a little bit of side to side, or moving the lower jaw forward and back. So just basic movements for the jaw, and just notice how they feel. And given your own history with this part of the body, you'll have a different experience. And then continuing down with the neck, just simply let the head come forward, back up. So rather than tilt the head very far backwards, let's just lift the chin up and back down. And then maybe look to one shoulder, let the head drop down, and then look to the other shoulder. So you're doing like a half circle. And again, just seeing how this movement feels either at the beginning of your day for Catherine or the end of your day for those of us here in Europe. So just gentle awareness to these places in our body that we use every day, all day long, and maybe just sort of get ignored or neglected as we do other more important things. And then here, just a little bit with the hands. So we started with the hands together. Take the hands apart. We'll just do a few simple movements. So fist closed, palm of the hand open. So flexion and extension, fist. Okay. Be gentle here. Some of these things are surprisingly tricky if you have a little bit of tension. I have a history with wrists here, so I have some cracking that happens almost every time I move. And just notice if holding the fists in creates a contraction or cramping, or if opening creates a sensation. And then a very simple movement. Just follow, let the pinkies lead, and then let the other fingers follow. And just sort of do it in any way that feels fun for you. Don't worry about doing it right. You just want to create circles with the wrists. You can go in one way or the other. I worked with a classical Indian dancer who's also a priest who comes to Regensburg once in a while. And he had the most amazing finger workout for about a half an hour. It was amazing. And it sort of started this way. So waking up the muscles. And if you just keep doing this a little bit, you'll start to feel the muscles heating up. And for many of us, especially for doing computer work, this range of motion is very atypical. So you might find that the muscles actually heat up quite quickly. And then rest whenever you feel the need to rest. And now that they're a little warm, we'll just do a simple holding static posture. So the elbow is about as high as the shoulder, and the arm is just parallel to the floor. And this is just an exploration. So use the free hand to move back different fingers. So you're creating a lengthening here. So feedback I've gotten from what I've seen in myself and from others who've done this stretch, there's an awareness of sort of how these fingers are connected to the arm, the elbow, and maybe even to the shoulders, particularly if there's some tension there. So you can play a little bit with the position of the hands. I generally keep them something like this. You can use the hand to do all fingers at the same time. So different mobility will just be in different bodies, And some people might find doesn't create a lot of different sensations, and some people find that it creates a lot of different sensations. So try with one arm and also the other arm. And whichever side you're on, just first explore each finger differently. When I was working on my PhD and getting a bit of carpal tunnel from data analysis, I did this one quite a lot actually. And there were a couple of fingers, I could feel them all the way to my upper back because there was such tension from repetitive stress from what I was doing. So just keep the arm forward, shoulder and elbow aligned, and just feel. Good. And then rest. So just warming up and keeping awake that part of the body before we come to the floor. And so today we'll start with the hello back kind of practice. From a time when I had great plans for 2020, what I did not expect from 2020 was that I would be doing so much art in my home. The kids and I and Sarah and Angela's daughter Sarah were here a lot doing different artwork. So now come to the floor with these hopefully warmed up wrists and hands. And the first part of this movement is simply just feeling. So before we do, just feel. So now the spine is parallel to the earth, surface of the earth. So gravity is pulling a bit differently than when we're vertical. Let the head just be soft, like the neck soft, the head can hang. Feel the shoulders just gently move so you can notice how you feel throughout the spine, the hips, the shoulders. Adjusting the hands, the elbows, the shoulders. If you appreciated this spiraling sort of sensation that we created through the first session of sort of creating the spiral in the arms and holding them in, this is a way to create a sensation possibly of more integration through the upper back to the spine. Because remember, as we bear weight on the arms, the force comes up through the shoulder, and now the shoulder has to transfer this weight through the center of the body, the weight-bearing unit of our body. So by bringing the elbows a little bit more back, shoulder blades spread apart, muscles engaged, we can have a stronger connection to that center line. So as we move from this gentle observing, we sort of stabilize through the shoulders. And let's begin first by imagining the center of the spine. And as we inhale, we're going to lift it up, let the head drop, let the tailbone tuck, move towards the head. And as you exhale, come down, maybe arching the back. Inhale, expanding through the back of the body. And exhale down. And just notice how that feels. Like we do with the feet when we're standing, the hands has a kind of samastiti sensation, equal balance throughout the hands, the heels of the hands, the balls of the hands. And then we'll start to come into more traditional Chakravakasana. You can either keep the rhythm, rounding the back on inhale, or the way we normally do it is rounding the back and moving back on exhale. But in this posture, as you like, it's not going to hurt either way. You can come back piece by piece, like we've done the last couple sessions. each breath a little bit further back. So exploring if maybe only coming part way down is more interesting for your back today. I find that when I'm having some issues with the iliosacral joint, this sort of part way coming down really helps. Whatever place you're coming back, just a few rounds. If you inhale as you come back, you might need to bring your awareness to the back of the body. A sensation like the inhale is filling up the lungs on the back side of the body. It might create a sensation of stretching through the back side. And some people, if they inhale and move back, they feel like they can't breathe. So if you feel like that, then change the breath. And then we'll just do a simple variation with the knees in an asymmetric position. So just about 5-6 centimeters, one knee back compared to the other. Whichever knee is back, take the hand on that same side and bring it forward. So you're creating maximum space between the knee and hand on one side. And you can come back. You can either stay here or do a few rounds coming up and back. Do whatever adjustments you might need to do to find comfort here, the knee, the hip, and the back. If you find that there's a really strong sensation in this posture as you come back, maybe stay there a few breaths, inviting the breath into wherever you might feel some restriction. And then eventually you're going to switch sides. So the other knee moves back, the other hand moves forward, creating maximum space between the knee and the hand on one side. And then explore either dynamically coming up and down, or just staying in the posture. And also notice if you're feeling sensations in this position, notice where. Is it sort of behind the shoulder? Is it the low back, the leg, the hip? Somewhere else? And then come forward. And then from here, we'll just do a gentle twist. So we'll take a hand, shoulder to the floor. This arm can maybe come over the head, or if there's some other placement of the arm that feels better, please feel free to do that. And just notice what you feel. So I try to avoid talking about stretching or giving too much specific guidance on what one feels, because each of our bodies is experiencing this differently. You know, for me as a hypermobile person, I've often heard in group classes, feel this stretching, feel that stretching, and I couldn't understand for a long time why I didn't feel what was being told to me. And that if I tried to create the sensation of stretching, I would end up injuring myself. So eventually, after a few breaths on the first side, come to the second side and try that as well.
And through my exploration of practice and of teaching as well has been to invite people just to notice. And what makes me curious is usually when there's an experience of resistance. Sometimes that resistance is just there because of a physical reality of the body. And sometimes there's a little bit of tightness or tension that I'm creating in my body that would like to be released.
And then eventually, when you've done both sides, just pause for a moment in childlike posture, feeling back, shoulders, hands, wrists. And then from here, we're slowly going to come to standing, whatever way you like. And before we start to move the upper body here in Tadasana kind of variations, we want to take a moment to pay a little attention to the feet. So again, this image of the triangle under each foot, one point under the heel, two sides of the balls of the feet, the places where the bones of the feet come closest into contact with the floor, if you could imagine an x-ray of your foot. And so samastiti is this idea of all 6 points under both feet sharing the weight of the body. But as always, since these systems are integrated, keep that sensation of samastiti under both feet. Keep the feet where they are and pull the legs together. So as much as you can, as if you're going to bring the knees together, but leave the feet where they are. So the legs don't come all the way together, but you're activating the inner muscles of the legs to pull, 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 pull together. Notice as you do this, what other muscle groups might be activating. And relax the muscles. And then push, 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 push the legs apart now. Keep the feet where they are. The legs don't move, but you're activating the abductors here, really pushing the feet apart, apart, apart. Notice the comparison between moving the legs apart, bringing them together. If one set of muscles feels more integrated, stronger than the other. So this balance of these muscles we worked so much with last week, impacting, of course, release, the transition of the weight through the body onto the feet. So samastiti is just between those groups of muscles. That neither one of them is activating strongly to hold us in the center because we're balancing. But all of these muscle groups are so important just for the capacity and the gift to be able to stand. And then one of the teachings I did a lot in this year before the changes was the lessons that my girls taught me through their superhero interests. So we have Wonder Woman and Supergirl, two superheroes. Wonder Woman is a goddess, and so when she wants to fly, she just lifts up through some sort of magic and she flies. But Supergirl is an alien on the earth who's gains the super strength and the ability to fly, I guess, because of the sun somehow. But when she has to fly, she has to push off of gravity. She has to give herself an initial kick. So our legs in Samastiti is like Supergirl, about to lift off. So there's like a springiness to the legs, but also a rootedness to the legs. So this is sort of the antithesis of kind of locking the legs and tipping the butt up and sort of sitting into our joints a little bit. There's an action here. There's a springy sort of sensation as we lift up. You can even lift the chin, lift the chest, and come into this sort of chest lifted opening posture with the legs on the floor. And this is the foundation of all the samastiti that we do. So first little vignette, sort of connecting from really the hips up, waking up the wrists, waking up the shoulders, waking up the sides of the body, the back, now waking up the feet, legs, ankle, and this connection to them all. And through samastiti and all the variations of that, we now integrate these two parts. And let's just begin with a hug. So wrap the arms around, let the chin drop. Pause here, a breath or two. And then just inhale, open, 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 open. Lift the chest, lift the chin. Exhale, wrap the arms around. If you like, you can vary one arm on top each time we close. You can alternate right or left elbow on top. Exhale, hug. My daughter Lily called this the butterfly caterpillar movement. So again, notice the state of your shoulders, upper back, neck. And then open, open one more time again and stay here for a few breaths. From here, maybe lower the hands a little bit. Bring the chin mudra, so the index finger, the thumb touching the other three fingers pointing towards the floor. Pause here a moment. And again, just holding this posture, feeling the strength of your body. Don't overdo, but just see how comfortable your body can feel holding this position. And then as you complete, relax, shake out the shoulders, arms. And we'll just sort of wake up the body one side to the other. So you can bring the hand to the low belly and we'll move the other arm. So this hand, you can bring it anywhere you like. This is one position that feels stable for me. So we'll wake up this other side. So inhale, reach up, 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 up. Exhale down. Inhale up and down. You can visualize here, inhale, foot moving towards the floor, hand towards the sky. Exhale, you can imagine that energy coming back to the center of the body, maybe where this hand is. Expanding from earth to sky. Exhale down. Earth to sky. Stay here for a few breaths. Be gentle with the neck, the jaw, staying relaxed. 2 more breaths. And come down. Pause a moment. One more thing on this same side before we switch sides. We're going to lift the arm back up, out to the side. Turn the palm of the hand up, pushing the arm away, and look away from that hand. Pause here, a few breaths. At any time you can come down. Otherwise, we'll do one more breath together. Release both arms. Pause a moment here. Just feel left and right side. Notice just the different sensations. I feel that the side I've moved is a bit lighter, a bit stretched out, a bit warmer. Notice if you feel a difference or not. And then we'll switch sides. So hand to the low back. Now we're going to move to earth and sky on the other side. So inhale up, foot towards the earth, hand towards the sky, and down. Earth and sky. Two more times. And then we'll hold the posture for about 4 breaths. Let the jaw be relaxed. 2 more breaths. Come down, pause a moment. And then when you're ready, just about 4 breaths, we're going to open the arm to the side, turn the palm of the hand up, and look away. And come down. Both arms release. Feel left and right sides again. And just to bring it together, just a simple forward fold. We'll take both arms up, touch the floor, let the knees bend as much as you need to.
Belly towards the legs, head down, and all the way up. Any variation you like of this movement. Touch the floor, touch the sky. Feel free to take extra breaths in between. If it's comfortable for your body, then stay in this forward fold position with the head down. Otherwise, you can stay standing or come halfway down with the elbows to the knees. Just stay a few breaths here. Come down to the floor and pause a moment here. Just feel the body. And then when you're ready, we'll come on to lying on the back. So let's begin with gentle Apanasana, so hands on the knees. Exhale, knees come towards you. Inhale, move away. And then we'll do a little bit of alternating sides. So one knee towards you, the other knee away. And then we'll stop here. So right now my right knee is away, my left knee is close to me, and I'm going to let the head turn to the left side. So whichever knee is coming closest, you're going to turn your head to that side. And what we'll do is create a little space here from the right ear down the right side of the neck, the right shoulder, and holding onto the knee here, using the leg to gently lengthen the arm, creating a little bit of traction through the right shoulder, maybe feeling up to the neck all the way to the ear. And then you can switch sides. Right, as the right knee comes towards you, the left hand is pulled a little bit by the left knee, creating a little bit of traction. A little tip here, I find that if your head's in the center, imagine the axis that your head is rotating about is through the center of the head. So instead of letting the head turn side to side, let the head rotate around the axis as you pull it. So play with that position of the head a few times. So stay a breath or two. And just notice if you feel much tension here in the space in the shoulder and the neck, or if it feels pretty comfortable, pretty easy, pretty mobile. If there's a large range of motion or a small range of motion, Good. After you've done that a few times, come down and pause. Notice also, just a tip also, when we're doing some head turning and working on this part in particular, be attentive of the ears and how they respond. So if you have a lot of drainage or things like that, this can make an impact on that. Could be a pleasant impact or not so pleasant impact, but sometimes this neck tension can have an impact on that part of the body. So now the feet to the floor. Come into some simple Dvipada Pittam. So inhale up. Exhale, slowly come down. And here you can come to any variation that feels comfortable as you lift and lower. Just a little transition posture. And then we'll come back to the floor, take one knee or 1 foot away from the floor, the other can stay there. The foot can stay on the floor, or you can straighten the leg, whichever you like. And we're just going to inhale up, flex the foot, heel up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. And again, the arms here can come into any position that feels comfortable, supportive. You can use hands behind the leg, or you can use a towel or a strap, or you can use the strength of the hip, the leg, to hold it in place. And then we're going to stay for a few breaths here. First, just holding the posture. So the whole chain of muscles from the hip to the front of the leg, all the way to the toes, engaging. This is the equivalent of our pinging the fingers back and lengthening the back of the underside of the arm. If your hamstrings or your low back is a bit tight and the leg can't easily straighten here, it's fine to hold it a little bit lower. It's definitely much more work on the leg, but if you can do that, fine. And then here, just begin to move the foot like we did with the fingers, rotating in both directions, just noticing how the joints move. Make sure to activate the toes a little bit here too, like we did with the fingers. It might be a little harder with the toes. We don't seem to use them individually as much. And then if you have a little bit left here in the hip and upper leg, we can lower the heel towards the floor. You can come halfway down or lower, and then exhale, bring the foot back up. In this position, I recommend having the toe more relaxed or pointed instead of flexed. So inhale down, exhale up. So don't lose the integrity of the posture. So if coming down only part way feels comfortable, then do that. My experience in building strength is always do less at the beginning than you think you're supposed to. Do that for a while and then build up. And just doing enough reps so you start to feel the hip flexor engaging, heating up without overworking. So no violent shaking in this adaptation. We sometimes allow violent shaking, but not with this one. So when you feel that has heated up and activated, just bring the leg down, stretch both legs out for a moment, rest. And then we'll switch to the other side. So just a few times, inhale up, flex the foot, heel up, exhale, bend the knee. Inhale up. Exhale, bend. And then eventually let's stay here. Again, keep the foot flexed. So now you're extending almost like you're pushing the foot towards the ceiling, but the toes point towards your face. It's like a perfect front kick, frozen in time. I guess it'd be more like that, but strengthen the leg. And then circle the foot around. See if you can even move, engage the toes a little bit. Toes can be quite tricky if you have some plantar fasciitis, so be gentle. And then when you feel ready, we'll activate the whole leg, hip flexors, as you inhale, exhale, bring it up. Inhale and exhale. And just a tip, as you lower the leg, keep the low back close to the floor. So you have to engage the deep abdominal core muscles and exhale up. So lengthening through the front as the muscles are contracted at the same time. This foot here can help stabilize the body so you don't risk tweaking the low back. And we just want to do enough repetitions to really activate hip flexors here. Again, this front line activation and release both legs to the floor. Pause a moment and just feel. Okay, come back to the center, bend both knees, and let's take both arms out, palms of the hands turned down. We'll do some simple twisting here. So take a breath in, and as you exhale, twist towards one side. As you inhale, come up. And as you exhale down, so be respectful of shoulders here. So if there's some restriction in the shoulders, you can either take the hands down lower, closer to the hips, or you can take the feet back to the floor. So there's not as much stress or torque on the shoulder trying to keep it close to the floor. And eventually, let's stay on one side, knees down. Take a few breaths here. Jaw relaxed. Muscles of the face can relax. As I've told my students a lot in the studio, pretend you're enjoying yourself. I used to tease my first teacher, Yoris, because he always had such a sour expression on his face when he practiced sometimes. He's not a very grouchy guy. So And then come back to the center as you feel ready, and we'll try the second side. So again, find a way to make this posture something that serves you well. So the way that I'm doing it serves my body shape and functionality. So I'm a person in a pretty small body that has very high mobility. So through different phases of our life and through different bodies that we take on as we change, just make sure that comfort is the guide. And then we're going to come back to the center, feet on the floor. Take the feet now a bit wide, the hips so about as wide as the mat or so. And just gently let the knees come side to side. You don't have to come all the way down. And then we'll gently let the knees come over to one side. So let the knees come towards the floor in whatever way you can. So you could adjust the feet position. So the one knee comes close to the floor. And then we're going to take this back hand, so the hand on the other side of the knees, bring it towards the chest, and then slide this hand all the way together with the lower arm, hands together, and then keep sliding that upper hand. So one arm is over the other arm, your chest is moving towards the floor. And then we're going to take the hand back to the heart, open the shoulders up, hand to the heart and down. Spunky's visiting us now, and he's gone. And then open and back. So again, play with this. If there's a position of the shoulder that feels better, just adjust the hands up higher or lower. You can stay here in this position. For some of us, if we're having some irritation in the shoulders, this might not be a variation that is appropriate right now. Right now, my shoulders are all in alignment and feeling good, so I can lie on my shoulders like this. Sometimes I have impingement on the shoulders, and this is then not an appropriate version of the practice. And then we'll come over to the center and over to the other side, adjusting the feet, the knees as makes it comfortable. And then take the hand to the heart and reach, and back. Also be attentive of the neck in this movement, so you're sort of rolling the head. Some of you, it might be beneficial to have a blanket or a cushion under the head because you're sort of rolling from one side to the other. For me, it feels nice on the neck, and my husband Matthias, he needs a cushion there because it makes his neck move into an awkward position, and his upper back is a different shape than mine. So for him, it's a very awkward movement for the neck without support. And if you like, you can stay here. Call this melting into the floor. And of course, as women here, we have our breasts we have to work with in this particular posture. So the position of the arms should be supportive so you're not creating compression on the breast in an uncomfortable way. And then come to the center. I find my arms sometimes have to be either higher or lower than the quote unquote classical versions of some closed positions because those positions weren't designed for people with breasts. And then we're going to turn onto one side and slowly come up to sitting. And we'll do some version of Paschimottanasana.
So if you need cushion for under the hips or cushion for under the knees, the legs can be close together, they can be a little further apart. So make this position your own. We're just going to come forward. The idea is bring your belly to the legs. Knees can be bent as much as you like. Feet can be close together or further apart. Come forward and breathe here. If the back feels a little tight, maybe do a few rounds. Inhale and exhale. This beautiful tradition of repetition and stay that we do. This is really working with the biomechanics. So as we inhale, the muscles along the spine engage. And as you exhale, they lengthen. So if there's some tightness there, this engagement and relaxation work together in harmony. So just remember, tight muscles don't stretch. Actually, muscles don't really stretch. They release. So if they're not releasing, let's give them a chance. We contract and then let them release. And then when they feel a little looser, we can stay here and breathe into that relaxation if possible. And then come back up. And let's take one leg in, open out to the side. And then let's open the straight leg out to the side a little further. And first, let's just turn towards that straight leg. Move down as much as your body allows. So it might just be a turn for now. Both hands on the floor. Imagine you're going to bring your heart to your knee. Go as far down as feels comfortable with your body. Again, just breathing into the places you feel restriction. Come back up. We're just going to do some side stretching in this position. So it can be as deep or as gentle as you like. We're just going to take this shoulder aligned over this leg. You can come down just a little bit and reach the arm over. We just want to create lengthening here. If the mobility is there in your hips and leg, you can come down a little bit further. But the idea is still the same. No matter how far you're going, you're just lengthening through this side. Holding the foot is not the goal. The goal is just to lengthen through the side. So often when I'm in a group full of people I don't know, I don't usually demonstrate like the versions that I practice. But for this one particular posture, I like to come lower here. My body allows it, first of all, and secondly, there's some tension, and this
particular posture goes right into that spot for me. This is like a juicy favorite posture of mine.
Otherwise, I don't often advertise the crazy versions of postures in my group classes. So if you haven't already, come out of the posture, sit in the center for a moment, just feel. And then we'll do the same thing, but now on the second side. So turning towards this leg. Again, you can keep this knee bent, keep the leg straight, just come towards as if you're going to bring your heart towards your knee, both hands on the floor here, coming down as far as your body allows, and wherever you find your limit, just breathe there. Look for a comfortable space to breathe. No stretching, just feeling your body. Release as much as possible and invite the breath in. And then we'll come into that side stretch. So again, can just slide down, keep the hand up. Important part is that this side of the body lengthens, the heart stays facing forward, so we don't want to come down. So if you find yourself facing the floor, come a little higher, open up, and stay here. So this might be where you are today. If the body is a little more open with more range of motion in the hips, back, sides, come deeper. And of course, whenever you feel like, come out of the posture, otherwise stay a breath or two. When you come back to the center, just take a moment, feel. And then come into some version of a forward folding kind of position. The legs can be straight, they can be bent. Just let the spine come forward. Just want to look for any places we might feel some tension. If there's some tension, we can come in and come out of the posture, this repetition, and stay. Otherwise, we come down. And then from here, we're going to come towards the floor. Just take a moment here, feel your body. Whatever transition postures might feel nice for you, feel free to take some. Maybe a little bit of movement in the neck and shoulders. Or maybe for you, the hips or knees or ankles feel a little bit of need for gentle release. And then whenever your body feels ready, come into a resting kind of posture. Keep yourself warm.
So give your body time to rest. Again, just be attentive to these muscles in the face, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. Feel like the body melting into the earth. As you rest, I'll share some words from Tecumseh, a Shawnee warrior, leader, and mystic. He was a uniter of the tribes under the Tribal Confederacy in what's now the United States, the late early 1800s. He was a person who lived at a time of tremendous conflict and suffering. He was a person who offered inspiration to his people
even utilizing his understanding of astronomical phenomenon to demonstrate his power and duty to serve. But these teachings are very simple from him. When you rise in the morning, give thanks for the morning light, for your life and strength. Give thanks for your food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason for giving thanks, the fault lies within yourself. One of the many voices of the past guiding us to the simple joy, the simple practice of gratitude, even in challenging times. So come back to your body, come back to your breath, and slowly, as you feel ready, come to sitting. And as we transition from the space of inner practice, the space of inner awareness, may any joy, any peace, any contentment or pleasure be an offering to the world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May peace be like the air in our atmosphere, constantly being exchanged, given, and received. When we cannot find it, may we receive it. When we have it, may we offer it out. Thank you for being with me in this time of Lent, a time of tapas, and offering me the chance to reflect and contemplate on the meaning in my own life and the world around me. Thank you.